Again, Broncos country.
Really excited to chop up some Broncos with you all this week.
Bourbon, Broncos, and no BS.
It's the time, your favorite time of the week. We're not for the Raiders, Chargers, or Chiefs. So grab your brews in your fantasy league. We got that blue and orange blood that you bleed. The most loyal fans there ever could be. We are that mile high Broncos country.
Orange Weekly. Fans, brews, and Broncos news. What's going on, Broncos country? Orange Weekly here, and we are back for our 7th season. Welcome to Bourbon, Broncos, no BS. As always, I got some fantastic people joining me tonight. Jared and David, how you gents both doing?
So good, Kevin. So good. 7th season. 7, is that a big number for Broncos fans? Something.
I mean, it's about as high as I can count.
Ah, there it is.
So,
okay.
That's why we got you the abacus.
Absolutely.
That's why I got the the hibiscus. So yeah, no, yeah, nope. Super excited to be here. 7 seasons, getting ready to kick it off, and you know, I want to say this because of Russell Wilson and the new coaching staff and everything. Obviously, we're super, super stoked. I really feel like this is the best going into this season, the best I've felt in a long time. I also said that 2 seasons ago, so hold off on me a little bit, but I feel really good going into the season. So I'm just super excited to get into it and start talking Broncos football again, because the offseason, there's only so much you can talk about. And we're about to talk about games and playoffs. Right? That's what we're talking about.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, Jared's August 9th, and Jared's already ready to use that P word. I love that. I
love it.
Yeah. I'm thinking back now to the cold January night where we were talking just at the end of the season, and we were angry and we were bitter, and there was some optimism in the air, but not much. And look where we are now, fellas.
Yeah. Well, talking about look at where we are now, I'm going to go ahead as we look back really quickly to where Orange Weekly started all those years ago. So
you do this every year, and I get so embarrassed every year.
Retrospectus. See, this is it's good for me because I'm lucky enough not to have been here during the start.
No,
it was just me and Kev in his. By the way, obviously from Colorado, all of us. In Florida, kept his house at a mere 60 degrees. So every time I went over to his house, it was either wear a sweater or freeze to death. Yep. Were my options.
Yep.
Which is where the whole drinking while we did the show started, because I had to stay warm somehow.
Yeah. Oof. That tracks. Trevor Siemian, the quarterback of the Denver Broncos, man alive.
Right.
Those were some days. You guys remember touchdown, Trevor?
Oh yeah.
Of course.
I have his jersey. I bought his jersey after week 4.
It's so true.
Week 3.
I think we retell,
and then it went downhill from there.
Yeah, we retell this anecdote every season too. I remember it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Revisiting the glory days of Trevor Siemian.
Just like we remind Jared how he was a Jaguars fan when we played Jacksonville
every year. That's got to come up at least once.
And they're playing them in London this year, Jared. Are you going to go out there to London and support the teal and black?
I you know what? I need to go back and ask my mom if she has any of my old jerseys.
Here it is.
Oh,
here it
Jesus.
is.
Here we are, guys.
Look at Jared. Oof.
It The original
We look
logo
so
and
young.
everything.
It's been 7 years. How do we age so much?
The last 6 Broncos seasons in general
Yeah,
have
well-
aged us. Yeah.
Like the fact that Trevor Siemian was one of the highlights of that quarterback room, really, it didn't help any of us as far as that age. Oof, boy, Jared.
I still have
Oof,
that jacket.
indeed.
I love that jacket.
Jared, oof. And I mean, look at Jared's just like I don't my face, smile, do anything.
Here,
Yeah,
well, maybe
No,
we'll get some
emote?
reaction later on.
Oh my god.
No,
For the-
still none there.
Anyway,
For the record, this is our first show. I didn't know what to do with my hands, eyes,
This
or
is true.
face.
This was your first show.
Jared, you were
No
not,
idea. I just kind of was like, I don't know who to talk to.
The idea that Jared had never performed before, I want to go ahead and set the record straight. Jared was big time into theater in the high school.
Yes.
We were in it together, and he and I starred for one season on our own comedy variety show, The Colbert Report, that had, I believe, three episodes, was it, Jared?
Oh, we had more than that. I think we had 4 or 5 episodes total because we had the one episode that was long and cut together because we did half it at a hookah bar.
True.
Remember those days?
Oh, man, I do remember those days. So
This
anyway,
is good
Jared,
talk for a backstage show that we'll do later tonight. If you guys don't know
Yes.
about that,
If you guys want to,
after this,
if you guys want to hear the story of the Colbert Report, check out our backstage here in about an hour, and we'll tell you all about it.
oh, it's going to get hot.
It was more awkward than this that you're watching right now, so be
More.
prepared.
Way more awkward. All right,
there
guys.
you go.
Well-
So we got some Broncos stuff to talk about, but yes, Red Cloud does remember those guys. Red Cloud has been with us since essentially the beginning. So glad to see you here.
Absolutely.
Before you get banned, make sure you know that we love you. Glad you're here. Dan Miller, how you doing? And Rob's in here as well. Yeah, so we are rolling. Post your Broncos comments, post your Broncos questions. Let's start rolling into it. And if you guys want to check out the post off-season podcast that was recorded yesterday, we're going to get that uploaded here tonight or tomorrow, so you guys can check that out and hear us go more in depth with our thoughts from everything in the off-season. But Jared and David, I want to start with you, and just I know a lot happened during the offseason, but in general, kind of what did you take away from this offseason? What are some things that you like, maybe some things you still are worried about or hope that we can maybe address before the season starts or anything like that?
I'm a pessimist in the offseason a little bit. Like, obviously we love seeing these guys fly around and make big plays. The one thing I do kind of like this offseason that we haven't seen from I keep saying this, like, the media, we're the media, right? I get it. But the media and, run around trying to say, like, defense picked off the quarterback 3 times. Looks like the offense is going to suck again. Or, the offense scored 3 touchdowns. Must mean the defense is going to suck this year. That's the one thing I haven't seen, which is really cool. Like, big plays are big plays. You make good plays. I don't have a lot of insight when we do these practices, especially against ourselves. That really makes me like, oh man, that's going to be super exciting to watch. Other than the accuracy that we're getting from Russell Wilson, I'd be interested to see how the offense, as an offensive guy, I'd like to see how the offense is going to groom around him. And we haven't really, we've seen just kind of like the surface, I think, of what really his potential is in this offense. Okay.
Before we go to David, I want to touch on that, so you see something big happen at training camp and you go, not a big deal. One of the things people are talking about is maybe how underwhelming Wilson has been in practice. While he's been accurate, maybe underwhelming. Again, does that concern you at all?
It's practice. You're talking about a new guy coming to a new system with new receivers, a new offensive line, new coaching staff. Like, he's literally starting from scratch coming in here. While he is an expert in this league, the one thing that we got out of him is that the game is a lot slower for him than it is for a lot of guys. The game slows down for him. So once he learns the process, he's starting to hook up with Jerry Jeudy a little bit more, getting a little bit more accurate there. That's the piece that's the most important. You can execute a playbook if you know it. That's why I don't really read too much into that stuff, especially as a quarterback, someone like Russell Wilson, who has played in this league for so long. The game is slower to him, and when he gets up there, he's going to be able to make the right decisions because he already knows what the speed looks like.
All right. David, over to you, bud.
Well, I'll tell you, Kev, something you just said piqued my interest a little bit here, and that is specifically the underwhelming narrative for Russell Wilson in camp. Now, we call this show Bourbon Broncos and No BS, and I've got Bourbon right here, and I've got my Broncos right here, but that was BS. And I know it wasn't you saying it. You're just repeating a narrative, of course.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's a BS narrative, and it's not, I don't believe, a whole lot of Denver media that's pushing that narrative. It's a certain one or two members of a certain radio station that I don't think we have to mention the name of. But I think that narrative is more born out of the fact that the defense was ahead of the offense in training camp, like literally every defense of every team in every training camp is every single year. And B, there is a little bit of an extra layer to that because of the things that you and Jared were talking about. It's a new offense for Russell Wilson. He's trying to mesh with all of these weapons. He's building that chemistry. But in the last week, you really have heard of the offense catching on a little bit, and not so much big plays all day long at practices, more along the lines of what Jared was saying, develop chemistry with Jerry Jeudy, with Albert O. Tim Patrick's injury, that's a big loss to us. But it does sound like there are other players that are meshing into gear in this offense and being ready to step up and pick up that load, which is more impressive to me right now than, the offense is scoring 50-yard bomb touchdowns every time they're out against the defense.
Yeah. And you're right. I exactly took that narrative because I think it's important to address, because I already heard Jared kind of go down that road, so I know he would keep going down that road.
You got me.
Exactly right.
He's trying to get me. He's trying to hook me in on a rant, and I think he kind of started getting me when I was
already. Yeah, me too.
That one
me
I
too.
didn't want to try to hook you on a rant. I just knew you're already going there and wanted you to say your piece since I already talked about it on the podcast. Believe me, when I want to hook you into a rant, I will get you on a rant. It's gonna be awesome. Okay, lost my train of thought there. Everyone who's watching, make sure you recognize that if you haven't been here before, first off, thanks for being here. Sign off. We do the show every Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Mountain Time, and you can make sure you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. We do some YouTube only shows as well. But we also got our podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, pretty much wherever you listen to your podcast, we're there. So you can go follow us for that content as well. What were you going to say?
So let's answer this question from Red Cloud here. Let's pull you up there, buddy. Wilson's leg scramble, mobile agility, keeping the offense on the. I don't think it's going to be his agility and his mobility that keeps us on now. I think his ability to extend plays is a little bit higher than most pocket quarterbacks. I'm more, again, I keep saying this, but it's different when you have a guy, and you saw us when we got Peyton Manning, right? When you have a guy who the game is slower for. When the game slows down for him, he's able to make the right decisions at the right time, and understand the pocket closure and the pressure. That's what's going to keep us on the field longer. I think being able to see what he can see downfield, not so much his mobility. I think probably 3 to 4 times a game will he be able to extend a play that other people won't? Probably. But I don't know if it's going to be one of those, like, I don't know, it's not like a Lamar Jackson kind of like scenario where he's just going to be able to take off downfield when he needs to.
Right. Yeah. Are we going to see him go, for 20, 30, 40-yard runs? No. I just think at this point, he's kind of definitely buffed out. If you look at, his stature now compared to, even a year ago. And he is getting older up in age. So I think, it is something he knows he needs to learn to not, take every single hit that he, when somebody comes his way, take a slide, go out of bounds, just get the first down and keep the chains moving. Right. And I think that's more what you're going to see. But like what you said, Jared, can we see him do it 3, 4, even 5 times a game, depending on the situation? Yeah, definitely. And that's kind of the stuff that's going to keep the opposing defense demoralized, our offense energized, and all those little things that we've been struggling with the last several years. That's the kind of thing we're going to see on offense. That's just going to, keep us in good position when it comes to scoring more.
Yep, absolutely.
Sweet. Okay, and hey guys, keep posting your comments, keep posting your questions, hit that share button for us as well. if you don't mind. Here's one thing I want to hear your thoughts about, guys. And David, I'll go to you first, man. So, the Broncos did come out today with the preliminary depth chart.
Mm-hmm.
Very preliminary, haven't even done the joint practice against the Cowboys. One thing of note, and I mentioned it on the article, and is a good point there. Javonte Williams is listed as the number 1 running back.
Mm-hmm.
We all expected that. It was not too big of a surprise.
Mm-hmm.
But then our offensive coordinator, Otten?
Yeah, I think it's Otten. Yeah.
Otten came out and said, that their plan going into the season is to have the running backs on a pitch count. Now, what do you guys think of that strategy? Maybe more of a hey, whoever has a hot hand kind of strategy.
I think that's what he means.
Yeah. Is that what he means? Okay.
Yeah, I think that's what he means, because when he says pitch count
to begin with.
Yeah, so when he says pitch count, he's talking about what the game plan is for that week. And most of the time the game plan is going to be revolved around the run game, and who's going to be able to make the right is going to be outside run, is going to be inside zone, is going to be outside zone, is going to be pitches, are we trying to get somebody out in space? It really depends on what the game plan is going to be. And when he says pitch count, it's going to be like the guy, he's trying to give the expectation that there will not be a 3-down back out there. It's going to be a switch between whoever he can get out there for the right drive. And sometimes that might change, and it happens, right? You go into a game with a game plan, and Javonte Williams getting stuffed at the line, and he just can't make it anywhere. So you got to get the ball to the outside to guys like Melvin Gordon. So I think he's just kind of setting the expectation of like, hey guys, he's the number 1, but he's not going to be the number 1, 2, 3, like our 3-down back. We're going to give Melvin Gordon his fair share.
Yeah, and I think it was really, kind of just clever use of language there by Otten, because it could mean, a couple of things when you think about it. We're going to do a pitch count. Yeah, exactly. It could mean, we're going to have a preset amount of carries for each running back every time we go into a game, and we're going to stick to that no matter what. Or it could mean exactly what Jared said, and it seems a lot more likely to me. But either way, it feels like a thing that, really every team with 2 running backs the caliber that we have would do.
Yeah.
It's hard as a coaching staff to say like, and I forget what year it was. I forget what year it was 2 to 3 years ago, and they all kind of jumble together. We were begging to run the ball. Like I think we were begging to run the ball. And we just like, why are we trying to throw the ball? Why are we trying to throw the ball? Blood ball. And then I think there was one game that after the game, he was like, I think it was Vance Joseph. I want to say it was Vance Joseph came out and was like, yep, I went into the game saying we will run the ball 50 times. And we ran the ball 50 times and won the game. And it's like, okay, great to know game 11, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I'm glad you finally figured that shit out. But it's other than that, those scenarios, it's really hard to say you're going into a game, you will run the ball a certain amount of times. Unless it's just working, right? You go in, you're getting 3 to 4 yards per carry. Just keep going. It's just hard. It's hard to say Javonte Williams is going to get 15 carries and Melvin Gordon's going to get 15 carries, and we're sticking to that. It's just it's the game. The game plans are so fluid. It's hard to do that.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Red Cloud. Completely agree with you there. Question from my good old dad here. How you doing, Dad?
Nice.
Is the O-line looking like it can protect Wilson and give him time to develop plays? And that is one concern when you have a quarterback like Russell Wilson, who just naturally wants to extend that play, right? So I think it's something the offensive line is going to have to adjust to. But what have you guys seen from training camp and all the stories and everything, especially the right tackle position, which is probably one of the bigger position battles we have?
Everything I'm seeing from Calvin Anderson, who has been in there basically all of camp, just because Billy Turner has been not able to practice, has been up and down, and working against Bradley Chubb, against Baron Browning, Malik Reed. It's been up and down from him. You really kind of wanted to see him maybe anchor that right tackle spot down, and he still might. This week's practices against the Cowboys will be illustrative to see what we can find out. I don't think we're going to learn anything from that preseason game, because I don't expect the starters to play either side. But that's really, the area of concern is that to me. Dalton Reisner has kind of secured in the last few days, secured that left guard spot. Again, more because of injury. Netane Muti has not been able to practice either. But right tackle's, justifiably the area of concern there. And I think that's what we'll be watching most closely.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these guys are returning guys. Garrett Bowles, Dalton Reisner, Lloyd Cushenberry, that's been our left the entire season, the entire last 3 years. So it's kind of nice to have that consistency. And I honestly do think they did a pretty decent job last year. It's always quick to blame the offensive line when a quarterback's not playing well, but it's also, you could really look at the quarterback when their quarterback's not playing well. But the line was giving those guys plenty of time. Yeah, like David said, that right tackle, Calvin Anderson, we'll see where he can go. I think he has made strides since, he's been with us for a couple of years. And then Quinn Miners at right guard, currently listed at the starter at right guard. So that's another one. Once Muti starts getting a little fresher, Miners and Muti being able to sub into any of those guard positions is really cool. So will they be able to protect him with the extension of play? I think so. But again, it really depends on the coaching staff. I'm going to keep saying this over and over this season. It really depends on how the coaching staff builds the offense around what Russell Wilson's strengths are. That's really what it's going to come down to. Are they going to be able to protect him to what his strengths are?
Well, and I'll tell you guys what just the most surprising thing maybe to me about the offensive line right now is that Graham Glasgow is the number 2 left guard right now. He took a contract restructure this offseason to be making a little bit less money. Maybe with the team had this in mind for him because they knew he wasn't going to start. But it looks like Quinn Miners has solidified that right guard spot beyond any doubt.
I think they're going to be okay. Look, the thing that everybody needs to take away is that this offense that they're installing is a very, very complicated offense, and it takes a long time for everybody to get on the same page. Now you introduce, it's not only a new offensive coordinator, but it's a first-time head coach. It's also first year the quarterback's been with us. There's a lot of new. It'd be hard enough if it was already a head coach that was in place and a quarterback that had been there for a while and knew the players. But this is, to a whole new level. So you're going to see some bad throws probably early on from Russell Wilson. It's maybe not a bad throw. The ball was going where it was supposed to be, but the player made the wrong cut or something like that, and you're just going to see a lot of that early on in the season. So just bear with it and don't freak out. I do foresee some fans saying, oh, Wilson's a bust. He threw maybe 2 interceptions today. And, early on in the season, it's like, we just have to just be patient with these guys.
Absolutely. And that's, you touched on it a little bit, but we should kind of reiterate just the Shanahan offense and, the variant that we're going to be running of it is so difficult for teams to learn, and especially offensive linemen, just because they have to do so much and they have to do so many things that are specific to this scheme. There's not a lot of carryover from a more basic scheme, like a just straight up power run, block the man across from you scheme.
Right.
So it's really, really, it's as tough an offense to learn as there is maybe. So it's the more time these guys get together to just practice together, the better they'll be.
But I'll tell you what, something I read that I'm super impressed about is our defensive coordinator keeping the same terminology from the last couple of years with these guys. I think that is something that most coaches, I'll tell you right now, I think most coaches in the NFL are too proud to do, right? This is my defense. We're using my terminology. The fact that he's able to understand, no, these guys have been a great defense for the last couple of years. Let's keep the terminology, make it easy for them. Maybe change up some plays. Maybe the play calling, the defensive play calling might change a little bit. The scheme might change a little bit in certain scenarios. But I think I love. That was one of my first you know what, you got me sold, man. As soon as he said that, I was like, I love it, because now he's the one that has to study instead of making the other 30 guys on the defense study. He's the one that has to study the terminology to make sure he understands instead of making 30 guys. I think that is the most mature and leader style. Talk about leadership. That's the guy I want to follow into battle, is someone who's willing to make that sacrifice to make sure that the other 30 don't have to. I think I'm super impressed by that.
I forgot about that story, and I had the same exact reaction. It just, I don't know how often that happens, but I can't remember that happening out of all the coaches that have cycled through the Broncos front door the last several years. I've never heard that happening with any of the other guys, so that just is a little touching, but also very, very motivating. And it makes me think that, what's going on inside the building, the stuff we don't see is that whole culture is really turning around. People don't do things like that unless they mean it, unless they're sincere. And when you have a leader like that, that just, ripples throughout the whole building. So
absolutely
exciting stuff there.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, let's switch gears just a little bit here for a few minutes. I want to get your guys' take on, can't go without mentioning it today, the end of an era in Broncos country. No longer are we in the Pat Bowlen era. That is officially ended as the new ownership took over today. What you guys take? What you think?
I mean, it's obviously we're of an age where our first memories are of, the Pat Bowlen Broncos, obviously, and of John Elway mid to late career, and we're getting into the conversation of Elway being this great quarterback without really understanding it. The Broncos being this great team that never could get over the top, never really understanding it. And, we didn't realize it then, but we had Pat Bowlen to thank for finally getting the team over that hump. Our parents who were fans were suffering for so long, and finally an owner came in that had that that special something that got the team where it needed to be.
Someone that was that invested in the team, like not just monetarily, someone who was just really part of it and really cared and would always come down to the field and talk to the players and talk to the fans. Like, yeah, you're right. I think this is the end of an era for us. We didn't know anything other than the Pat Bowlen era.
Right.
That's it. Like I don't know. I'll say this much as far as some optimism going in. While it is sad, and we kind of saw this coming. There's been writing on the walls, and obviously, like we found out that the Walton Group was taken over. It'll be nice to have an owner again. And I say that in some of the league decisions that have been happening, some of the things that we've kind of like been left out of the loop on in some league decisions because of having no owner, those ownership group meetings. It'll be nice to have a voice coming from Denver for that. What that voice is still unseen, and I think that's the kind of craziest part about it, is what voice is the Walton Group going to bring? Are they trying to keep Bronco country the same and try to just be able to back up Denver, back up the Colorado Rockies? By Rockies, I mean all of Colorado up and down. Yeah. Or are they going to try to take it and be like, oh, this is my team now? That's the only thing that's kind of to be seen. I'd like to hope that they see that the history is on the wall, everything that Pat Bowlen did for all the things that Broncos country is about right now, where we stand and all the pride that we have is carried over. And that's the only thing I hope for. Like I said, it'll be nice to have a voice. I'm just hoping that it's the right voice.
Yeah. Oh, makes sense. Okay, let's see. Rob says press conference started rocky. He didn't pronounce Roger's last name right. So
yeah, well, that's I feel like it's an ownership tradition. Probably one of the other owners whispered in his ear, "You have to you have to pronounce Roger Goodell's name wrong in the press conference." Yeah,
right. It's a newbie thing, right?
We paid him $30 million last year. This is what he gets.
Yeah, he'll be fine.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If I'm making that kind of money, you can call me whatever the hell you want.
Fair point. Fair point. Hey, you know how you could get millions of dollars?
How?
Playing DraftKings. Yeah, football fans. DraftKings changed the fantasy game forever in 2012. Now, 10 years later, they're doing it again with Rainmakers Football, their first ever NFT fantasy game, a new way to enjoy daily fantasy football, a new shot to win millions in prizes, and the only NFT fantasy game licensed by the NFLPA. Couple notes here. Playing Rainmakers Football is simple. You can buy, sell, bid, and win player cards of the biggest names in the game through regular drops and auctions. Build your collection of football stars and enter free Rainmaker Football contests all season long to compete for millions in jaw-dropping prizes. And each week, craft your lineups of athletes from your NFT collection and rack up points for touchdowns, receptions, and more, like you would in daily fantasy football. Now, here's what you need to do. The next generation of fantasy sports is almost here. Download the DraftKings Daily Fantasy app now and sign up with promo code TPPN. Click the Rainmakers tile and opt in so you can be ready for the next drop. Play free for millions in prizes all football season and build the ultimate NFT fantasy franchise with Rainmakers Football. Again, that is promo code TPPN only at DraftKings. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
First ad transition of the season, and it's guarantee you that's going to be the best one we get all year.
You think that's the best all
That was
year?
great. Yeah,
I
think
loved
that's-
it,
Here's the
Kev.
thing. I was going with something else until you perfectly right at the very end just
Great
added
setup.
30 million. I was like, David, great
Great
setup.
setup. Hey,
That's it.
Kev, can you remind me of that app again? It was DraftKings what?
DraftKings Daily Fantasy app.
Daily Fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting in.
Awesome.
I'm getting in on that.
Jared's ready to lose some money this season.
Hey, Ragers, baby. Look, okay,
Ragers.
so first year Ragers was around, we made a lot of money. The second year, I think we lost that money. But
Yep.
now this third year, we're going into year 3, and I think we're back on track. We're going to be able to make some money, especially in the first. I'll tell you what, from a sports betting standpoint, in the first couple weeks, we're going to be able to find, which I love. Like you hate fantasy football in the first couple weeks because you have no clue who's going to be the breakout guy. In sports betting, the first couple weeks is amazing because specifically as Bronco fans, with as much content as we know, as much as we watch our Broncos, we know exactly who's going to be getting the ball in the certain situations. They're going to give like Javonte Williams is our number 1 right now, and they're going to say like over under 22 yards in his first game. I think it's going to be super easy in the first couple weeks. And then we'll work on it, right?
Then we'll work on it. We'll work on it.
Yeah,
I
we'll
like
work on
that. Okay. All right. Very good.
Third time's the charm. There is what Red Cloud says.
Boy, I did not win a single dollar last, and this is not Rager's fault. This is nobody's fault. But man alive, the betting did me wrong last year.
It was
fellas.
rough.
It was rough sledding.
It was rough.
Yeah, well, last year was just rough all around for Broncos country. I feel like we kind of it was really hard to just analyze who that team was. Like that was probably the most difficult time.
You never knew.
I can't remember a more inconsistent team since Tebow, and it's so hard. Like it's so difficult.
Oof, that hurts. All right, fellas. Are there any names, rookie names, new additions to the team, free agents, anybody that you're hearing about in training camp, just wherever, that you're more excited to see, maybe in a preseason game or early this season? You're desperate to see him in game action.
It's a good question.
Montreal Williams for me. I mean, I'm a receiver guy. I'm an offensive guy. Montreal Washington. Sorry, yeah, Montreal Washington.
Montel Williams was a very successful talk show host in the mid '90s and early 2000s.
Yeah, also an R&B singer. Wasn't he an R&B singer as well?
Programming note. Maybe Jared, but go on. Montreal Washington.
Yes. Anyways, interest. Yeah, Montreal Washington. I literally was just thinking about him. Anyways, so I think I'm excited to see him for 2 reasons. One, Deontay Spencer's gone. And you know how much I love me some Deontay Spencer.
But Jared, he's going to be the only rookie starter on the team.
Yeah, which I'm super happy. Look, I'm super happy about. I'm excited to see him as a punt returner, kick returner. He's lined up right now in the too early to call starting lineup as a punt returner, kick returner, which is good, right? Which is a really good thing. And then behind him is Kendall Hinton, which I think is good. We all, we're some Kendall Hinton stands here. We all love us some Kendall Hinton here. But I want to see what he does. I think right now they've got him. He climbing the depth chart at that wide receiver position, right behind Kendall Hinton, or right behind KJ Hamler. Yeah. In that slot position, in that quick slot position. That's who I'm kind of most excited to see, and I want to see I kind of want to see what the hype is about. I'm not gonna lie. I've seen some tape, and I'm like, okay, he's okay. But everything that I've been hearing, everything that I know from training camp, it looks like he's balling out, and I'm ready to see it on the football field.
Yeah, absolutely. Kev, what about you?
Yeah, what about Rob says it, and I think I agree. Baron Browning. I mean, talk about a guy move into that outside linebacker position. We got Gregory, we got Chubb and stuff, but it'll be interesting to see what he does. You know. But with that, what about Chubb as well?
Yeah,
what about Chubb as well?
Good reports on Chubb this whole camp. He's looking healthy. He's been moving around a lot on the defensive front. They're really trying to get him going from any way they can. Ajiro Evero wants to use his strengths at whatever position he can maximize them, and I'm really excited to see what they can do with him. But yeah, Baron Browning, like you and Rob said, they did move him to edge. He has been getting glowing reports. Another one that you want to see, especially against the Cowboys, is that more an indictment of our offensive line, or has Baron Browning got the goods?
Fair.
Yeah. For me, it's going to be Damari Mathis. And that's, he was a 6th, 7th round pick this year.
I think so.
And he has been showing out in training camp. The day that you and I went, Kevin, he got run with the first team defense. He has been continuing to get run with the first team defense. And it is not going to be surprising at all. Round 4, excuse us, programmer's note again there. But it would not be surprising to see him in like dime packages really, really early in the season. Caden Stearns has not been available to practice, just has had an injury. So it's really been him out there in those extra DB packages during training camp, and he's been showing out. And I really want to see that in game action. That's what I'm going to be most watching for.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's fair.
I'd be amiss if I didn't mention this, guys. I have to mention it, and I'm sorry, David. I apologize.
It would be a miss.
Kev, yes. I apologize. Rob, I apologize. To all those watching, I apologize because I have to say it. We need inside linebackers. Here's my problem. Here's my problem. Josie Jewell and Jonas Griffith right now, right? And I don't have a lot of faith in that inside linebacker position right now. I love it, right? I do love me some Josie Jewell. I think he's good. I feel like we need that inside linebacker. We need that inside linebacker for that help.
Okay, at this point, you're just inside linebacker, bro. Like we're gonna start the inside linebacker bros.
ILBB.
Yeah, and we're gonna get a Twitter group or something going, and Jared's gonna host a Twitter space for the ILB bros every week, and they can complain about how bad the room is.
Dave, you set it up. I will host the shit out of that, and I will be on that.
No, I'm not.
I will be on the inside linebacker press. But guys, like we cannot sit here and say that our inside linebacker position is set and we feel comfortable with people running up the middle on us.
It's fine. It's fine, Jared. The inside linebacker core is not the key to this defense. It never has been the key to this defense. It's a passing league, buddy. I bless you, but we're not going to be in base 3-4 that often, buddy. There's not going to be 2 inside linebackers on the field at that many times. I can't. It's too early.
IL Bros for life.
I'm
making it. I'm doing Twitter Spaces. Join me to talk about the inside linebacker position. There's so many great inside linebackers out there.
It is too hot.
Now, we're not going to get any of the top ones that have been making it out right now, but how have we not gone out and got one? One of my favorite, Johnson's still on the, Alexander Johnson's still on the free agency list. Why don't we bring his ass back?
That's true.
I'm just saying.
Well, and it's the kind of thing where there's so many out there right now that you're good with the depth that you have, and then if you lose a guy, they're still just as available. It's not as if these guys are going to all be snapped up between now and the start of the season, and there just won't be anybody. I mean, I guess they could be. And then what? The Broncos.
Did you see the situation we got in last year?
And then the Broncos last year, 2 years ago, which is incredibly talented and doesn't have that many holes, will have to just muddle along like everybody else in the season because nobody is excellent at all 3 levels.
You're telling me that there is no holes. There's no holes in this defense, and that inside linebacker is not one of them.
I say there's no holes. I do think inside linebacker is not a hole on this defense. I do think it's a hole.
What?
I don't think it's a hole on this defense, Jared. I don't think so. I'm sorry. I'm glad that you threw that visor on the ground. It looks a lot better down there, but it still doesn't. It's not sense. You're not talking sense, and I'm not going to indulge it anymore.
Jared, as Team Visor, I am right there with you.
Thank you.
I will back you up, and I will help
Thank
you host
you.
these Twitter Spaces.
IL Bros.
It is something, and we'll trademark this. We'll get we'll cut you some of the profits, Red Cloud there. But look, it's a weakness, and you want to beat the Broncos. Just
Go ahead, beat the Broncos with 5-yard passes over the middle. Let's see how that gets you. With Russell,
keeps
with
Russell Wilson off the field,
and they have Russell
keeps
Wilson.
Russell Wilson off the field.
I'm not worried about it.
Yeah,
this is me not worried about
That's
it.
how you beat the Chiefs. You keep Mahomes off the field. 3-4 yard runs, 5-yard passes, 12. You just eat up the clock as much as you can, and so there you go.
Not worried about it,
Jared. I got your back, man. I got you. John is laughing.
I'm an optimist, and I would never wish ill will on the Broncos. But there's got to be a level of importance at some point when we keep getting run up the middle, those 5-yard passes over the middle, the slants, the inside crap, the bubbles, the releases, the running back releases, like all that stuff is going to kill us. It's going to kill us, and I'm going to be so mad. I'm going to be throwing things at my TV until we get an inside linebacker that's worth their salt. Again, don't get me wrong, I love Josie Jewell. Jonas Griffith, he's still got a show for me. Like, I still got to see that out of him. Justice Strnad, unfortunately, he's been underwhelming for me. I wish, he was. I had a lot of high hopes. I think I started with a lot of high hopes with Justice Strnad a couple of years ago. He just hasn't shown out. But we got it. Come on, man. Come on.
I need a shirt or a hat or something that says the inside crap on it. I need that. I need it.
The inside crap.
Rob, you're doing the merch this season. I would need you to make a note of this. Just write it down right now.
The inside crap.
The inside crap.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Short game plays, set up those long passes, man. You want to just
the inside crap, come on, man, and then just the emoji poopy, the poopy
Broncos,
emoji in the middle.
But this is what we're talking about. The Broncos aren't going to get baited into setting up those long passes. They didn't give them up at all last year. That's just not how it happened, guys. They played the long pass really well all season, and the secondary is better this season. The secondary is better this season. So
I 100% agree. I'm there. We are not going to get thrown for 300 yards a game. I get it. We're gonna get run over for 300 yards a game.
No, I'm not worried about it. We got DJ Jones. DJ Jones, to me, greater than sign any inside linebacker you could have picked up this offseason.
Wow.
Yeah, that's where I think
that you could have picked up this offseason,
or currently. Yes, or currently.
He's making statements, guys. This puffball over here is making statements, guys.
I don't think it's that outrageous to say that DJ Jones improves this team's run defense more than an inside linebacker.
DJ Jones is better than any inside linebacker currently.
Yeah, for this team's run defense. Yes.
What about Roquan Smith?
Okay, well, all right. Roquan, you can make an argument for Roquan Smith. You can make the argument for Roquan Smith a couple of different ways, but you don't need to make an argument for Roquan Smith because Denver's not going to be getting Roquan Smith. So,
why not?
Well, first of all, Denver doesn't have a first or a second round pick next year. That's going to make it a little bit.
2024 we do.
Yeah, okay, so you're going to trade what? A first or a second round pick 2 years from now.
Okay, we're not entertaining this. I'm going back to you, David. This is bullshit.
I'm surprised you lasted that long, Jared.
Yeah,
I was fully waiting for you to jump in and just stop my bullshit.
I'm trying to collect my thoughts here because there's so much going on.
Where it's early in the season, like halfway through the season, you're gonna stop me as soon as I start that bullshit. You're just gonna be like, no, you're done.
I can't wait for it to be halfway through the season so that Jared can still be complaining about this, and our defense will be giving up 19 points per game. And Jared will still be going, we've got to fix the inside linebacker position.
Okay, let's go. Let's go. Right. I'm excited. I'm excited for this season. This will be this is, for the record, this is what started the puffball versus visor. Us just disagree. I don't even remember what the disagreement was.
Doesn't matter.
I don't remember what it was. We disagreed on something. It was like,
Was it? Or was
No,
it just
it
you take
was.
this argument, I'll take this argument.
Yeah, and then it was like okay, if you agree with David, you're on Team Puffball. If you agree with me, you're on Team Visor. That's what like the original how this whole thing started. And then it somehow turned into a hat war.
That I'm winning pretty handily, despite the state-sponsored.
Are you though?
See, we go for quality,
graphics on
not
the screen
quantity.
here that you guys see.
We go for quality.
Those are controlled by the minority, even though they
believe
are.
me,
Power.
if we
Glenn, Chris, Rob,
if
I know
we
you're out
wanted
there.
you, if we thought you were worthy to be Team Visor, you would be invited to Team Visor. Okay.
I just want to one up all those people you said with Ayla's mom.
Yeah,
We got Ayla's mom.
we do have a
So
Ayla's mom is fantastic. To your point, Kevin, if I were extended an invitation, I would decline. Back away from our silly hat nonsense for just a minute. Jared, any final thoughts on inside linebacker that you haven't said already, or are we moving on?
I feel like we've said them, and this is going to be an ongoing ongoing thing. I feel like for the rest of the
We need to
season.
track it. Let's knock together some graphics, maybe a couple of sound effects, so that when we
Yes.
we're going to have this conversation a lot. It's going to come back.
This will be it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and make sure you guys stay tuned to the pregame podcast, because I guarantee you there will be at least 10-minute discussions about the inside linebacker position on the pregame podcast this year.
Oh yeah, that's a pregame podcast is going to be filled with inside linebacker discussion. I love it.
For the record, Puffballs against Visors, and it's 100 degrees. Puffball takes the L.
Listen, Neil, I respect your opinion.
And Neil's
there.
an OG. You better respect his
I
opinion.
absolutely
He is an
do.
OG.
However, it's not 100 degrees in here. So
It is 100 degrees here.
it's
so-
100 degrees outside your house, Jared, not inside your house. Okay.
Well, I don't run the air conditioning because I'm a loser.
What? Okay, we're moving on. Any final thoughts, guys, about the Broncos as we transition into what is a game week? We're going up against the Cowboys in preseason week 1 this week. We've got the joint practices beforehand. Like we said earlier, going to get a little bit more starter versus starter action in those joint practices as opposed to the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've got a good comment from Williams. Or from William, your dad. Let's talk about the special teams a little bit.
Yep.
One of the that's one thing I think it's going to be really important to look at in this preseason game. Dwayne Stukes, special teams coordinator, did say that he asked Brandon McManus not to kick any balls out of the end zone because he needed to see the special teams get live reps, and that's
Yeah.
I mean, in practice you really can't see it. There's just no way to tell what your special teams looks like, how effective it is. You've got to see that in live game action. So I think that's what we're all really going to be watching as we get going. Right?
I think Rob put this perfectly for special teams.
Yep.
I think that you can't say it better.
Mhm.
I'm so excited to see what we're gonna be like without him. No, but I agree. I think kicking it to the special teams is gonna be super important to see what you got. Even in joint practices and even in the preseason game, I don't think we're gonna see a full head of steam for special teams. And here's why. Special teams is used to make position plays at your starting position once you've made the team.
Yeah.
The special teams guys are probably going to go pretty hard to try to get their names put out for them. But at that point, the guys that are playing special teams are also playing during the preseason games at their positions to try to show out. So I don't think we're going to see them go as hard there. Just my 2 cents on that, but I agree. I'm excited. Again, I said Montreal Washington. I think he's a guy. I want to see him take a couple kick returns and see what he can do.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's going to be really interesting because, like you said, Jared, the backup positions are really kind of that's where we're going to get our hints as to who's playing on special teams. Guys like Jonathan Cooper, a late round draft pick last year as a pass rusher, we thought had a lot of potential, is buried on the depth chart right now.
Yeah.
He's probably going to see a lot of time on special teams. The wide receiver room is super crowded right now behind Montreal Washington. Even you've got, Seth Williams. There's another undrafted receiver, a Brandon Johnson, who has been really catching eyes in training camp. He's gotten first team snaps. They're going to be on special teams. DBs, we talked a little bit about Damari Mathis, but guys like Isang Bassi, Fayon Hicks, Darian Turner-Yell, it's going to be, that's where it's going to sort itself out. That's really what's going to solidify some of those guys' positions on the roster.
Yeah, I think again the problem though is that like guys like Isang Bassi, he's got to show out at corner. Like he's got to show out in his time. He'll be the starter at corner for these preseason games. He's got to be able to show that he's the guy at corner in order to make this team first, and then you're going to know he's going to be the special teams guy. Like that's just how it works.
Yeah.
Yep. I tell you what though, like you think about especially last season, if not the last 2 years, and just I mean, how many games did we suffer a big blow because of a special teams blunder, or just poor special teams throughout the entire game?
Yeah.
And so we've talked about it for years about how close we are just being a team that can go from winning 5 games a year to 10 plus games a year, and man, I'm looking at this saying, how is this not that team? There's just no way with Russell Wilson at the helm. You got good, solid leadership. Yes, there are going to be some growing pains. Yes, there are still going to be some blunders early on in the season, especially. But, I think by the end of the season, we're going to be pretty damn happy as Broncos fans.
Yeah, absolutely.
So here's the one thing we haven't touched on yet today, guys.
Thank you.
Too early to count. Every year for the past 5-6 years, we've had an undrafted free agent make the roster.
Yeah.
This is the first year that there's nobody really stepping up to the plate as an undrafted guy that's really like showing out to a point where we're like, we might get that. Do we break that cycle this year?
We might. We're just so deep of a team already. Yeah, and just like you said, so far, now you have the games. You have the 3 games to look and see if any of those guys stand out. Was Cooper wasn't drafted, right?
Jonathan Cooper was drafted.
Yeah, he was a 6th round pick.
He was a 6th rounder. Okay.
Yeah.
There's still just, he's an example of, I heard him in the draft then, but it wasn't until I saw him in the games that I said, wow, like, holy crap, I can't believe that guy is playing like that, So there's still plenty of time for, you get these guys against the other teams. And okay, Glenn, thank you very much. Glenn says he was a 7th. So appreciate the fact check for us there.
Yeah. Thank you, Glenn. Yeah.
But yeah, so that's kind of where I'm going with it is just, we'll see what happens in the games, I think at this point. But I'm not feeling very confident about it.
Yeah. Right now, the leader seems to be Brandon Johnson, who we talked about a little bit earlier. He's the one who's kind of been making the most buzz. And it makes sense from the standpoint of, unfortunately, there is an opportunity for somebody to step up and really make a name just because of the injury to Tim Patrick. It's for what it's worth. And it is, like we've said earlier, an unofficial depth chart. But he did come in on that depth chart ahead of Travis Fulgham, who is a 4 or 5 year veteran at this point, played with the Eagles for a long time, had a couple of good years there too, before kind of falling out with them. So there's definitely some promise with him, but yeah, like you guys were saying, other than that, maybe not a whole lot of hope this year.
We'll see though.
Yeah.
You never know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll see. I'd like to see it. I think that's one of the cool things that Broncos country has is seeing that. But I also wouldn't be super hurt if they were like just none of the guys that we looked at for the offseason was it.
Yeah.
And we're not just going to hold on to one and kick off somebody that may be better just to say that we did it.
Just for a tradition.
Of
course.
Yeah, I don't think that's something that Broncos are going to do.
No, definitely not.
So
definitely not.
Okay, before we wrap up here, guys, reminder to everybody watching. First off, thanks for watching our season 7 premiere of Orange Weekly. Make sure you check out all of our other content. We'll be posting not only this as a podcast, all of our Tuesday shows for the month of August will be moved over to podcast format as well. We also have a post off-season podcast that'll be coming out here either later tonight or tomorrow. We got that's pretty much it. Are we still doing the pregame shows for the preseason games, Jared?
We're not doing pregame podcast for preseason games.
Well,
it'd be
the shows.
Like a tailgate show.
Tailgate talk.
Before the game. Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe.
Okay. Well,
let's play that by ear.
We'll play
Yeah.
it by ear. But
Yeah.
if anything, by the start of the season, we'll be doing tailgate talk, which starts 1 hour before kickoff. Even at the 7:30 a.m. game when we play in London, you can count us to be live. We'll probably be the only ones that are live at 6:30 in the morning, but we'll see. Also, our halftime shows. Make sure you check out the halftime hash. We got a bunch of stuff there. We're the original halftime show, so
Yes.
go grab your snacks or whatever. But then log in Facebook or Twitter, whatever. Pull us up and let's talk some Broncos football and get the first half reactions from you guys. But you mentioned the post game podcast, pregame podcast. We just got a bunch of content for you guys. The Monday night Orange Weekly After Dark, 8 p.m. Mountain Time. So make sure you check that out as well. But guys, we're going to be busy this year. Hopefully a whole lot of good news to talk about compared to previous years. And we're just looking forward to sharing it all with you guys out in Broncos country.
Absolutely. Season 7, we're going strong, and we have more reason for optimism than at any time during the run of this show, and that's something I think we're all kind of a little numb to it right now. Like we're not. I don't think we're ready to believe just yet, but I think we'd better be ready to be ready. You know what I mean?
I think we made a bet if we don't make the playoffs 10 years in a row that we're quitting Orange Weekly. I think that was the bet.
It wasn't quitting Orange Weekly. It was taking a year off to see if we were the problem.
Oh, that's right. That's right. We would take a year off
through an 11th year. Then it wasn't us.
It wasn't us, right? Oh, yeah, that's what it was. That's what it was. Yeah, we would take a year off to see if it was us. I have hope.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have hope.
Absolutely.
And it's not blind. It's not orange goggles.
No, definitely not. There's some real seriousness to it. You hear about fans around the league and stuff. The Broncos aren't automatic win like they used to be. So
right.
Yeah. Okay. Before I get closing thoughts, we are going to the backstage show right after this because it's the season premiere. Normally it's only on YouTube. We'll be doing on YouTube and Facebook tonight, but make sure you go over to YouTube and follow us there for our other YouTube only content, which is the post game podcast we do live on YouTube, and then our backstage show Tuesdays following this show. But we'll be on Facebook for that as well tonight. But with that, Jared, I'll hand it off to you first, man. Any closing thoughts you got?
Closing thoughts. Right now we have 7 tight ends on our depth chart, which I think is absolutely ridiculous.
Right.
Don't know why we have 7 tight ends. And let me check. 6 inside linebackers. You start 2 inside linebackers in a game and only 1 tight end. Why do we have 7 tight ends and 6 inside linebackers?
Okay. You're talking about starting 2 inside linebackers. How many snaps did the Broncos? Here's my first piece of homework to the ILB bros. How many snaps did the Broncos play 2 inside linebackers at the same time last year?
Okay.
What percentage?
I will look it up. So how many non-diamond nickel packages did we play?
How many times did we play base last year?
Okay. Yeah. No. I will do some Googling.
I'm excited.
I will Google the shit out of that, David, just for you.
I'm really excited for that. And
good.
Transitioning that into my final thoughts, because I'm tired of listening to Jared talk about the inside linebackers. Guys, I feel like there's a little bit of underrated talk about the defense right now, and obviously the defense is ahead in training camp. We've been talking about that, but all of the stuff that Jared was talking about earlier about the terminology and how they may be able to unlock these pass rushers and what they have in terms of weapons in the secondary. I really, really think we could be talking about this as a top 5 defense by the end of the season, inside linebackers notwithstanding. I'm really, really excited to see how these pieces mesh together and what a young mind like Ejiro Evero, who comes from an attacking style of defense like Brandon Staley and Vic Fangio have, can do.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, I did mention it on the podcast, but I'll mention it here again as I try to often. So I do have season tickets, and if you're going to go to a Broncos game, hit us up on Facebook or Twitter. I'll be there. But make sure if you need a place to tailgate, I highly, highly recommend you check out Scott, the flag man, the back of Lot C. You can't miss it. It's the only tailgate with all of the flags. I'm telling you, all of the flags.
The flag man's patented shot ski.
Oh, the
Don't forget the
Shotski.
Shotski.
Yes.
I'm telling you, I got so drunk playing cornhole for no reason, and I don't know how I got so drunk, but there was just beer flowing. It was great. It was awesome.
Because the flag man provides. Like you go there.
Well, the flag. It's funny. Like I got there. I think I only know like 2 of you guys.
Yeah.
3 of you guys, and we just next thing I know, I got a family. It was absolutely awesome. Scott kills it. Got to meet us out there.
You get there and you hesitate for a minute, like to take, just enjoy the hospitality that the flag man says you should enjoy. And then there's so much stuff there. And you get to the end of the tailgate and they're packing up like just whole buckets of food and beers. And it's like, no, he meant it. Enjoy, guys.
Yes.
The flag man is awesome. He's
So-
great. And swing by.
Definitely, bring some beer or some food or something, but otherwise, he's the man, just like John says there. So I'll be there pretty much every game, tailgating, and he's really easy to find. So it'll be good times as we get ready for the Broncos games that are just a few freaking days away, guys. Absolutely insane. Here we go. Buckle up, as David says. Be ready to be ready.
Broncos country.
Okay.
Let's ride.
Are we buckling up and then riding?
Yes, we're about to buckle up and ride. Oh yeah,
we're gonna buckle up and then ride.
You don't go riding unbuckled, fellas. That's
true.
Safety,
it's not
safety
safe.
First. Safety
It's
first.
not safe.
I think Team Puffball and Team Visor can unite on riding safely.
Safety first,
Absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely.
Did you guys see the video the Broncos put out of other players trying Russell Wilson's catchphrase?
Yes. Yeah. Obviously,
I want to hear your guys' attempt at Russell Wilson's catchphrase.
No.
Come on, Broncos country, let's ride. Come on, let's
All
hear
right,
it.
I'll do it,
Let's
but then
hear it.
I get to tell everybody the alternate catchphrase that I brought up at training camp. Broncos country, let's ride.
Oh, very nice.
Thank
Very
you.
nice.
Now it's my catchphrase, and let's see, we'll make this an alternate because I think Broncos country, let's ride is great. But mine was it's snack time, and I think that works on a couple of different levels. A, because athletes are always very hungry, burning a lot of calories, got to keep fueled. B, when you're out there on the field, you wanna make a snack of that other team. You want to eat them up. So that works both ways. Two ways that one works. So
It's the way you said eat them up. It wasn't you just like, you want to eat them up. You want to destroy them. You want to kick their ass. You were like, you want to eat them up.
It's no, I mean, I've still got my Russell Wilson impression is good. My Dan Campbell needs some work. That's all. I gotta add a little juice to that.
Come on, Jared, looking at you, man.
I may not be as young as I was as in the video that we showed earlier today. However, I do understand that snack is something that you call something that you want to like eat up in a good way, not in a bad way.
It can go both ways, Jared. That's what I'm saying. I said it like 6 or 7 times. That's why it's such a genius phrase. It can go both ways.
Okay, guys, this is a perfect lead over to our Orange Weekly backstage show. Check for that. We'll be live there in just a few minutes with the new link on Facebook and YouTube. But with that being said, guys, let's end it as we always do on a very strong Go Broncos.
Broncos.
Go Broncos.
Do what I like, yeah, I do what I like, yeah, I do what I like. Sip and go, sip is right, and I go with the flow, yeah, I go with the flow, yeah, I go with the flow, cause I know I'm the show. In the zone, here I go, in the zone, here I go. Can